Happy Friday, Miami. This is Buy, Sell, Hold Miami, a real estate podcast. I'm Peter Zalewski, condo consultant, expert witness, founder of the Miami Condo Investing Club. Joined here by my partner, my co-host, the moderator, Daniel Hernandez from Compass Real Estate in Coconut Grove, where he does single-family houses as well as condos. Daniel, World Cup wraps up this weekend. Third place match going on in
Sports.
Miami. The championship going on in New Jersey? New
The
Jersey?
Meadowlands. It's the apex of American sports. What are you talking about?
New Jersey?
New Jersey.
Are you kidding me?
Everybody wants to go to Jersey. Bruce Springsteen's from Jersey. I think Oprah lives in Jersey.
The Sopranos.
America's favorite fictional family. Immigrant
Yes.
family.
Yes.
Jersey. There you go. So Argentina, who do they play? Argentina, Spain? Is that who it is?
Argentina, Spain. Yep. And the storyline is, I guess, when Lionel Messi, who's the star of Inter Miami as well as Argentina, when he was just getting started, he was playing out in Barcelona. They did a photo shoot with him and some
I saw
future
this. My
star.
wife showed me this. And he was like a little baby.
So yeah, exactly. Yeah. Somebody won a lottery or something. They got to take a picture with Messi, and lo and behold, now they are matching up 19 years later. Imagine that.
Wow. I like those kind of stories. I don't really give a shit about the game, who wins out. My wife's from Argentina, of course. Messi, right? Amazing. I gotta wear blue.
Che, baludo.
You're Polish.
Yeah, but I've watched many of World Cup matches up there around Miami Beach and North Beach neighborhood around 71st and Collins. Huge Argentinian
Buenos
contingent
Aires
that all
Bakery
came.
over there on 72nd. I don't think it's there anymore. I think they're building, condo buildings. Surprise.
Yep. Manolo's is still there though. Manolo's is that right there on that northwest corner of the intersection, right by the band shell, and that is the go-to place for Argentinian. Although the food, I don't think is very good. I think Prima Pasta right down the street. Which
Prima
is Italian
Pasta,
Argentinian.
and then what's the other? George's, the other pasta
George's.
place that's right there. And everybody who works in these restaurants is Argentinian, by the way. All the hospitality workers are Argentinian, and they're only Argentinian in this little zone in Miami Beach, which backs up to Surfside, which is a traditional Hasidic Jewish community, which is where the Surfside Tower collapsed. I mean, it's all interconnected, guys, and that's why we do this
Yes,
show,
it is.
because it's, at the end of the day, Miami is provincial. We're like a Boston. It's very small. We got ocean, national park, ocean, and then there's nowhere to go. We just went vertical. I saw Peter actually. Did you know Sunny Isles, the municipality of Sunny Isles, is one of the most densely populated cities in America?
Yes, I did know that. And just imagine if they take down across from these luxury condos on the east side of Jimmy Buffett Boulevard of Collins Avenue. Just imagine if they take down the Pollo Tropical, the KFC, the Burger King, how much more density they can add.
And by the way, since you were talking about Jersey, you know where the other cities are, right? They're all in Jersey.
Are they really?
Yeah, they're all those townships that go up the Hudson River, opposite of Manhattan.
Interesting.
Right?
Well, I mean, that's the place to be, Jersey.
Jersey,
I'll stick
baby.
with Miami.
Okay, let's stick with Miami. And with that, if you're just joining us for the first time today, buy, sell, hold Miami. If you're watching us on mobile, right in the middle there of your screen. If you're watching us on the big screen, 4K, YouTube, Substack, that's the rundown. And Peter and I throw these stories back and forth over the course of the week, and we're going to talk about them. We got you for an hour, 7 to 10 minutes per topic. If we go a little bit over, it's fine. It's Friday. Relax. It's raining. You probably can't even leave your office. And at the end of each topic, we're either going to buy because we agree, we sell because we disagree, or we hold because we just don't know. And we're going to have to talk about it more, just like we talk about Ken Billions more. And we're going to talk about Ken Billions today, Pete. But I want to start.
I'm looking forward to it. Mr. Billions, I'm looking forward to it.
I want to talk about, we were talking about New Jersey, but let's go over to Manhattan for a second. I know this is a South Florida real estate show, but if we go over to Little River is kind of like Little Haiti, but it's not Little Haiti, but it's not Miami Shores, or it's not El Portal. It's this little pocket. It's a little river, right? Because is there a body of water? There's a river that flows through here, does it not? Yeah.
Tiny little river just north
Tiny
of
little river.
Lemon City. Yep.
So in this little pocket, this is where it's actually the largest proposed live local project in the state. That's going to be about 4,000 units. That's a gentleman by the name of Pablo Castro. Not that Castro, guys. We don't like that Castro. This is a Spanish Castro, not a Cuban Castro. And he wants to build the Hue Hub, 4,000 units. And then his competition, colleague, peer, Michael Swerdlow and his family want to put up 7,500 units. So when you put these two developments together in this small little space right up here, see this little area right up here, folks? That is going to be the Little River Workforce Housing District, or I'm sure eventually they'll try to be selling condos there for over $1,000 a square foot. But until then, this is what's going to be kind of like the breadbasket where the policemen and the nurses can live so they don't have to drive all the way from Homestead. And when I saw the 3D rendering of this, Peter, it reminded me of this affordable housing complex that was built back in the day in the Lower East Side of Manhattan, and that's called Stuytown. And this is 11,000 units. I mean, guys, just to put this into perspective, we are not Manhattan. We're not this 11 million person city. We're Miami. We're little. We're tiny. And we are undertaking a project that is almost as big as this. How amazing is that, Pete?
I think it's fantastic, and especially in this climate. I guess it's going to take a little while to put it all together. That's why they're announcing it and they're starting to go forward on it. But yeah, no, listen, kudos to them. Just make sure you don't take out B&M Market. B&M Market is a Guyanese joint. It's a packaged goods store, a dry goods store. You walk out whatever you want, and the owner's wife, they're both owners in the place, she will cook you up the best roti, goat curry, you name it, in the back. My recommendation,
Little
roll
River?
with the veg. In Little River, right there on 79th and what is that? Northeast? No, not Northeast Second. What? It might be Miami Avenue. Might actually be right there in Miami, right
Is
at
it
the
Miami
entrance
Avenue?
going to the Little River. Yeah,
Right here,
yeah,
no?
yeah. Yep.
There's some good stuff in there. You got the Citadel in there. I'm not really a food hall guy, but if I was, I'm sure it'd be kind of cool. They got offsite.
Packed fried chicken. It's a Haitian joint. Packed fried chicken. I think you get 2 or 3 pieces of chicken and a little bit of rice and beans, if you will. It's somewhere like $5.
Hey.
Yeah, no, there's some good little foods in there. Yep, food joints.
And one of my favorite, and I just got to be, the realtor in me comes out a little bit. This pocket right here off of, what is this? First Ave. What is this? Everything. Is this 79th? No, this has got to be. This is 82nd. So right up here in this wooded area on the northeast side of this waterway, right? That's where Adam Newman, WeWork, bought the trailer park in the lettered streets.
Yep.
And then if you go across that body of water, there's this, like, what is this? 3 or 4 by 4 blocks of single family homes. That is going to be really interesting because everything west of here is going to be buildings. It's kind of like a little mini version of the roads outside of Brickell, because you're going to have all this density being built in and around here. Then you got the commercial strip, and then you have this little pocket of single-family homes. Is it nice today? Not really. It's not.
No, come on, let's be honest. It's a shithole.
No, you got the chickens walking across the street and crap. But soon, I mean, you can't just move into Coconut Grove right when the $5 million houses. Somebody owned a house for $30,000, $40,000 in the Grove when it wasn't so nice, and now everybody wants to be in the Grove. So people ask me, what's the next spot? I like this area a lot.
So Daniel, just to give people context, so if you zoom out a little bit to I-95,
yeah,
zoom out just a little bit. Okay, now just south of zoom in now off of 79th. Just right about there, you go down about 2 blocks, you're going to have St. Mary's Cathedral. That's where the Archdiocese is based. That's where Archbishop Wensky, outgoing Archbishop Wensky, the one who was out at Alligator Alcatraz bitching and moaning, saying that what Florida Governor Ron DeSantis was doing was wrong. And lo and behold, Governor DeSantis has finally shut down Alligator Alcatraz. But right over there is where you're going to find the cathedral, St. Mary's Cathedral. You go up to 79th Street. Very famous taxi stand for African Americans back in the day during segregation, all that type of stuff. You had a green and black taxi company. You still see some of them kind of driving around. What you have there is a lot of car dealerships, kind of like you see on 441 when you go into Hollywood, Jumbos and all these types. These are the places where you put $200 down and they will finance you at 30% interest. So you got a
For the
bunch
next
of that. All of that
450
is
months.
exactly. You got a bunch of quickie marts as you go to the east. But to show you what's kind of coming, 7-Eleven, they planted a flag there and they put it right up on 79th in Miami Avenue. You got the Citadel, which opened up. You have some of the old
Different
throwbacks,
Citadel
like
than Ken Billions' place, Citadel. Like they have like
different Citadel.
greasy burgers.
Exactly. Then you're gonna have PAX. I don't know if you can find PAX. That'll be right there on like 84th, I think, off of what is it, Northeast Second, maybe Northeast.
Yeah, it's
I
Northeast
would be
Second. That's
confused
that
over that.
whole strip of eateries are in here.
Yep. And then if you were to continue north, you're going to go over Little River and you're going to run into El Portal, where you have the Indian Mounds. Right there on the north bank of the Little River, you're going to have the Indian Mounds. You guys drive around, they'll just be like this big hump. Kind of like what you had where St. Regis going up on Brickell Avenue before the related group in the city of Miami. They allowed everything to get pulled out and then they shut it down so nobody could get any information. Something similar like that is located right there in El Portal. And right over there is about the city, Miami City limits. Also, too, there was a Miami Times New Times reporter who wrote a piece about some shenanigans going on in Miami with
Shenanigans?
weightlifters and steroids. They turned it into a movie, and it was all based right there at 79th and Biscayne. So there's a real kind of interesting history all in and around this area. But today, it's basically a shithole. People are moving in. They're trying to put up stuff. But like you said, today's shithole is tomorrow's Coconut Grove.
Hey, look, there was a time when Coconut Grove was turning a corner for 30 years.
1990s. I remember you couldn't go down Grand.
It's turning a corner. It's turning a corner.
Yeah, there were cinder blocks. They would throw them through people's windshield when they were leaving Cocoa Walk going to Dixie Highway when I think there was a police shooting or something. I remember that back in the day. Yeah, it was the Grove wasn't back then. It wasn't what it is today. That's for sure. So yeah, I can see why you're so optimistic about this. The only part though that I would push back on this area, traffic is a nightmare.
That's fine.
Everybody
but do you want to? They have a captive audience, right? Because the people who are going to live here. By the way, the Hugh Hub development is 100% workforce. It's not that live local 40-60 crap. It's 100% of those units are for under 120% of AMI, which is the area median income.
But the only problem is it's the public transportation access. Unless they somehow put a station there on 79th Street, for the FEC lines and the Bright Line.
Swordlow's putting a $35 million train station. They're putting a tri-rail station here. That's the developer contribution. They're not building a park. They're building a train station.
Okay, so everybody's clear, and I've written about this for a long time. When I was writing a column for the Miami Herald, I wrote about this, back in 2016. Basically, here's what you got to understand. You got the FEC on the east, you got the CSX on the west of Interstate 95. So what happens is Tri-Rail, which is the cheap, affordable working class route, in order to get to downtown Miami at 71st Street, it makes a hook. So it heads east, it takes a right turn, it's going southbound, it's going to take a left, and it'll go east. So it's 71st Street. A lot of this stuff isn't going up off 79th. So wouldn't it be about 8 blocks separated or so? And my limit is you want to be 6 blocks from a train station, then you don't need the bus. So yeah, if you look at 71st, Daniel, and I think that's Northeast 2nd? You'll see the rail line.
Northeast 2nd, correct. And then we didn't even talk about. Remember the Miami Innovation District? It was like 7 million square feet of warehouses and stuff. They did a special taxing thing, and it totally died. They supposedly were going to do a train station, and by the way, that's right here. Apparently, I don't want to get too excited because I've been pretty excited about this first topic. That's back from the dead.
That's the Magic City, right?
That's the Magic City. What we're looking at right here, this Magic City Innovation District, which is just a bunch of, in my opinion, overpriced warehouses in Padel. If you want to get out there and chase a tennis ball.
Yep, and it was a gentleman who was involved. The money guy involved is the one who donated money as part of the whole FBI sting to get his kids into university by putting him in under some sort of sports team, sports scholarship or something. So yeah. I remember that story. Magic City. Yep.
So apparently it's back. They got some new financing. I don't know. Anybody can file for a press release, guys. So don't get bamboozled. The Swordlow plan apparently is very much moving forward. The Hugh Hub thing is moving forward, but there is some litigation. He partnered with a local Laura Tauber for, remember, he's Spanish. He's a rich Spanish developer, I think family in the hospitality industry over there in Spain. And he came over here. Miami's tough, provincial. We're very close. So you need to get a local partner with some local know-how. He brought her on to make ends meet over here. She did, allegedly, and allegedly he hasn't fulfilled his side of the partnership agreement. So there's litigation there. I hope for the sake of affordable housing here, they figure it out and they just build. Because the only people that are going to be happy about this are the lawyers.
And Daniel, think about it. If you were to continue south of 71st Street in that general vicinity, be going south, you're going to run into MacArthur Dairy. You got a dairy farm over, or a dairy production facility over to everybody. You got the old high school that the Archdiocese of Miami. They shut that down. That's a nice piece of dirt as well. Then you get into Buena Vista. You get into the design district. So I guess what I'm saying is I can see why you're focused on Little River as long as it goes south of 79th Street. But if it's only hemmed in north of 79th Street,
there's nowhere to go north of 79th Street because you got El Portal, you got a different municipality. The city of Miami limits, that's it.
But if you go west, west of Miami Avenue,
nobody's going west.
No, but west of Miami Avenue, right in that area, you're going to have the big trailer park right behind the Bravo. There's a Bravo over there. There's a big trailer park. A lot of people
not a good year to be a trailer park in Miami-Dade County. And maybe we can talk about that next week. I think that would actually be very timely for us to talk about because it's a thing. Infill development, guys. That's what this is all about. We talk about greenfield development. We don't really have greenfield here in Dade County because we have the urban development boundary, the UDB. We got a big Everglades National Park out there. We got Big Cypress National Park out there. We got Biscayne National Park on the water side. So infill's kind of the way to go. And I applaud these guys for bringing it together because this was a very heavy lift, and I can appreciate that.
Yeah, to me, this is probably a 20-year play personally, just based on experience. Simply because, they're gonna start breaking ground. They're gonna put some stuff in. They got to do the infrastructure. It's probably 20 years out, is what I would say. And it's not to say they're not going to put up one or two. Think Solomia. Before Solomia on 151st Biscayne. Yeah. What was it called?
Super fun
Landing.
Site.
Yeah. Super fun site. This isn't a super fun site, but there is industrial around here. And by the way, there's an Oriental massage joint over there, 2 stories high, right on the corner. They also have a little nursery. Never been, but just sort of throwing it out there to sort of, right across from the MacArthur Dairy and just north of the high school. But if you think about the Biscayne Landing, which ultimately became Solomia, the first guys went in there and they went, as they say in Tampa, tits up. And then the second people came in there and were able to ultimately build it out. That was Jeffrey Sofer and Richard Lefrecq from Lefrecq. So I kind of see this as probably a 20-year play. This is probably a generational play to kind of bring it all online. So right now, if you're buying in there, I would say you're buying on the rumor, but ultimately, when does the news come? Hopefully it's quicker than the whole Magic City fiasco that, was approved like 10 years ago.
Or Ludlam Trail, but we'll get to that. Little River, Stye Town of the South. Maybe Brickell's not going to be Wall Street of the South, but I could see Little River becoming the Stye Town of the South. Maybe even nicer than Stye Town. I mean, I think it's cool. I think that in a little town in a baby little peninsula in the southern tip of the United States, you're able to put 11,000 units between 2 developers. That's cool. I'm a buy.
I think I would be a buy. Not for everything you said, but for the fact that what you reference is Brickell Avenue. Global sea level rise, everybody. We know a good storm comes rolling through. You got a lot of flooding. A lot of people went in the Little Haiti area and just north, which is what we're talking about, Little River. This is some of the highest dirt in and around the area. So I would be a buy long term on that. If the time span, if the fuse is 20 years, I think this one could really make a lot of sense. And where do the people come from? Well, who knows? They might be coming from what today is coastal, but tomorrow could be Stiltsville Part 2.
Are you for scuba? You go snorkeling?
Well, think about an amenity. You come down your elevator and you can jump in and with your gear on. your tanks.
Yeah, like those fancy places over there in the Maldives, right? They're basically underwater now.
Exactly.
All right, everybody. I promised that we would talk about Ken Billions today, and I promised Peter, and I can see he's glistening. Peter, you look really excited about this. Well, Ken Griffin is winning at Monopoly. Peter, I think it was a real deal. Maybe it was the Herald reported that Mr. Griffin, Mr. Billions, is in negotiations with the city for Dr. Jackson's old house over there, right across the street from the Ken Griffin Citadel headquarters site, which would be the last piece, the last puzzle piece, I'll bring it up for the gang, of the assemblage required to complete his entire city block. He's got to have an entire city block. I mean, he already has the old Tibber Hollow site right here in the water, but I'm talking about this little itty bitty house right here. It's a 6,000 square foot lot, 1,800 square foot cottage, reportedly in negotiation for just about $3 million. That comes off the heels of him terminating the Solaris 138 unit building, I believe. He bought all the units, 20% above market. I think that the blend was about $875 a foot, which is crazy and brickle. But hey,
quality building. That's a
quality building.
That's a Harvey Hernandez project. He slept that thing up 20 years ago, and back then it was a rental building that they called a condo. So, wow, $800 a foot for that thing.
$875.
$900 a foot. Wow, well done, sellers.
So that was going on for a minute. That's gone. He also owns this nice office building right here and the parking lot behind it. I think he's got like 1,400 parking spots in there. He's going to need them because apparently he's bringing all his employees down from Chicago all the way to sunny Miami. And where are they going to work, Peter? They're going to work right here. I know this doesn't look like much. This looks like Peter's construction site for Citadel, but apparently there are some cranes and dirt and things being pushed around here. So Ken Griffin may be actually pretty good at this real estate thing, or he's changed advisors, which also likely possible.
Well, I mean, Ken, stick to stocks. You want to buy property because you want to collect, you want to build a portfolio. That's great, but bring in somebody who knows what the hell they're doing to actually build this stuff.
This guy,
just outsource it. Yeah, I'm just saying, outsource it to somebody else. Little interesting tidbit about old man Jackson, Dr. Jackson. Casey Paquette, if you guys have not seen Miami history, you need to check it out. He did a report back in 2015. I remember reading it, not in 2015, but more recently. He's got a report about Old Man Jackson. Old Man Jackson was on a citrus farm, Daniel, up north. Then guess what happened? The big freeze came. Remember Julia Tuttle? She sends the orange blossom up to Flagler. He says, oh, wow, it doesn't get as cold in Miami. So Old Man Jackson, he was doing some stuff with the Flagler guys, and they convinced him to join FEC, Florida East Coast. So he brings his behind down. He becomes the official doctor of FEC, Florida East Coast, as well as the Royal Palms Hotel. Guess what? He also liked to smoke cigars. This was a doctor who smoked cigars. I like this guy right off the bat. Ends up moving down here. He's living right there where Gusman Theater is. If you guys know where the Gusman is today, it's the Pitbull School. Yep, the Olympia, all that type of stuff. So he's living over there.
Slam.
Ultimately, Yep. The house is historically significant. It's sold, and they decide, you know what? We're going to put it on a barge. We're going to take it from Flagler. We're going to take it all the way down to Brickell. They need someplace to dump it. They dump it over there. That is not the original location where Old Man Jackson originally set up his.
So you're saying we're going to?
Oh,
so this is the shitty place where they decided to put it.
This was the alternative. Yep.
This is the alternative. So do you think that I propose an idea, Mr. Billions? How awesome would it be? You're going to build this $2.5 billion office tower. You could be on the 55th floor penthouse, or you could hold court in this cottage.
And sell off the developable rights, the TRDs or TDRs, depending on which municipality you're in. Sell off those rights. You'll make a bundle right there, more than cover the $3 million you're going to pay for the actual dirt.
Or
that
here's
small little sliver.
The ultimate troll is he turns it into a park, so he has a view from Jackson's house.
That would be perfect.
What would he pay for this? $360 million for the Tibber Hollow lot? About?
Ooh.
I think it was up there. I think it was like $367 million.
I don't remember, but I know it was like 2022.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think you get for that today? Since they did, what do these guys get for their cap rate? Their cap rate up the street. The young guys, Oak Equities with Vladislav Dornan. These guys.
You're talking about the $520 million. That
$520 million. That's what it was, right? Yep. So if these guys got 520 for a cap rate, what do you get for a cleared lot ready to go?
Yeah, at some point, I think Mr. Billions is turning into a land banker. He's got so much dirt everywhere. I mean, he's going to be, you know what he's going to be? He's going to be the same thing as Arvida, Arthur Vinning Davis, Old Man Davis, the guy who cashed out of the chemical company. I think it was Union Carbide, became a real estate developer at the ripe age of 70, bought up what would become most of Coral Gables Estates. He owned the Weston area. He's the one who created Weston. Anywhere you say Arvida, that's a reference to Old Man Davis.
Didn't he sell? Wasn't he integral in the creation of Walt Disney World?
Ooh, I don't know about Walt Disney. I mean, he may have been, but he had a big holding. They said that an eighth of Miami-Dade County, when Old Man Davis got involved down here, this is in the 40s or so, was controlled by Davis or Arvida. We've all heard and seen the name Arvida. That's Arthur Vinning Davis.
Arvida Parkway, Arvida this, Arvida that.
Yep. So maybe that's what Mr. Billions is doing. Maybe he's just a land banker. He's going to have the dirt, and anybody who wants to play, they're going to have to come and bend the knee. I mean, how much office space do you need to build for your firm, especially if AI is supposed to eliminate all these jobs? This is the part that's not really adding up for me.
Well, that's why he called unsubstantiated, but the word on the street is that Steve Ross broke up with Swire, sold out to Mello, and now his office play in Brickell is this site right here.
Makes sense. Makes all the sense in the world. This way, Stephen Ross gets to control the development, which he knows how to do. And Old Man Griffin, He gets to play his stock game, and he gets to donate money to all these different charities. By the way, Mr. Griffin, Mr. Billions, we have a nonprofit. If you want to go ahead and donate to us, we will make sure we spend your money wisely.
Oriental Market Friends of Flanagan's. What is our? Did we sign that paperwork?
No, well, yeah, it's in the mail. It's in the mail.
Oh, it's in the
Daniel,
mail.
One little tidbit. When Harvey Hernandez was putting up that tower of the Solaris, they actually had some construction debris that fell down on Old Man Jackson's place. So there was some damage. There had some stuff that had to take place. So just kind of keep that in mind. So real storied history in and around there. And one other little tidbit, everybody, just because you're tuning in to Buy, Sell, Hold Miami, we're giving you tidbits. If you stand at Dr. Jackson's house where it currently stands, you look across the street, you're going to have the club at Brickell Bay. And what you will find at the club of Brickell Bay?
Fraudulent ballots, allegedly?
Well, you got fraudulent ballots, but a few years back, we had a president called Obama, Barack Hussein Obama, as President Trump likes to call him. Well, he sent some boys down, primarily men, to Colombia, Cartagena, to do some scouting.
The Secret Service guys?
And these Secret Service guys somehow ended up in a brothel. They just thought they had great booze and it was cheap food. They ended up in this brothel using
This is where I parked
card.
my car.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to make reference to the defense attorney or the prosecutor for the state's attorney down here who basically had to quit after he bit a stripper on the breast. But that's a different story. But anyways, the Barack Hussein Obama Secret Service guys, they end up in this brothel, makes all kinds of news. And the second location they had was in Miami, across the street from the Solaris. Today, it's a barbershop. It's called the Spot Barbershop. Prior to that, it was an actual club, a Colombian club that was connected to the same one with President Obama's Secret Service guys. If you guys remember that story, 10, 15 years back.
It's called Tu Candela.
There you go. Ding, 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 ding.
I never went in there.
Yeah.
All the time.
I went in there to check it out. I wanted to see it. I wanted to see it.
All right. Ken Griffin is winning at Monopoly. I got to give credit where credit is due, Pete.
I got to be a hold. I don't think he's winning. I mean, he might win long term.
I mean, isn't the whole point of Monopoly is to land bank and collect rent?
I guess, but I don't know what kind of rent you're gonna get from Old Man Jackson's joint. And then you got the Solaris.
Old Man Jackson? No. He's paying some guy $600,000-$700,000 a year to figure out what to do with old man Jackson's house, what to do with old man, who's the Secretary of State? William Jennings Bryan's house on the old Arsh estate. They're going to take all
Put
these
them all
houses,
together.
they're going to put them all together.
Put everything together.
Look, they're going to put them in the Vizcaya Village, in the
Yes.
farm village that doesn't have enough money, even
Yes.
though Ken Billion said he was going to give them $20 million. They need $100 million. So, hey, guys, if you want to donate to anything, friends of the Vizcaya Farm Village, great association, but they need more money. I'm a buy, you're a hold. Well, while we're talking about cultural institutions down here in Miami, if you live in Coconut Grove, you probably walk by, what is that, Charles and Main Highway, and you see this dilapidated building, or you don't even see the building because I think it's covered in protective stuff now.
Yes.
That
Got it propped up.
yeah,
Yep.
it got it propped up. That folks is the Coconut Grove Playhouse, which hasn't had a play in 20 years. I think it's been closed since 05, 06. And there's a municipal parking lot adjacent. And well, as we mentioned in the first segment here, Coconut Grove is outrageously expensive. So surface parking in Coconut Grove, as much as we do need parking in Coconut Grove, that is not the highest and best use for that land. And it's been identified as such. City of Miami had an opportunity to go in and revitalize this playhouse, which, by the way, is on the National Register of Historic Places. So not only do they have a responsibility to do so, they have to do it in the right way. And the latest chapter in this, and this is my own opinion, because it's on the National Register of Historic Places and it's a playhouse, I feel like, Pete, the question is, how small can we make this playhouse while still living in a playhouse and take the rest of that land pie and put some real estate toppings on it? Maybe we put a little retail, put a little restaurant, put some office space. What other toppings do you want to see on there, Peter?
Boy, well, you got the restaurants covered on Commodore as well as on Main Highway. I think you got more than enough restaurants there. You have some office space. Remember, there was a flip of a office building over there that I think somebody did very well on. You got a couple art galleries. You got some knickknack joints in and around there. You got the new condo coming with the Ziggurat, right? Ziggurat's going to be right over
The
there.
Zig,
You got-
yeah, Alan
Yep.
Morris.
You got the Mayfair where they repositioned that as like office space. They took that retail center, they got rid of the cinema. I mean, what do they really need over there? I mean, maybe a hotel, but
No, they're gonna put parking, more parking. They're gonna put playhouse. Well, because the city keeps on awarding street parking to private valet vendors, so there is no more street parking. Much to my dismay, I'm not really happy about that, obviously. And they need more parking because when you build wider highways and you build more parking garages, it alleviates the pressure. Guys, it doesn't do that. All it does is invite more cars. Everybody knows this, or everybody doesn't know it, but that those are facts. The playhouse, though, the interesting part about it is it's in the city of Miami. It's in Damian Pardo's district. Yet Damian Pardo is not the face of this rehab. It's Miami-Dade Commissioner Raquel Regalado. Why? Why, Peter?
What wasn't it carved out? Wasn't there some state legislation that carve it out and put the power to control it in the hands of some little municipality somewhere?
Well,
Wasn't that a bill that was proposed or something?
I know the FIU and Gable Stage have the operator's lease for whenever this is supposed to open. I think they were aiming for some anniversary date to get it open. I doubt that they make that date. I don't really know, but there are a lot of, I wouldn't even call them NIMBYs, but just pissed off neighbors in the Coconut Grove Neighborhood Association because they don't want a giant commercial development towering over their neighborhood over there on Thomas and on William Avenue. Is it a gentrification thing, an anti-gentrification thing? Is it just I hate authority thing? I don't know. I don't live in the Grove. I don't really have a dog in this race, but I do recognize the animosity between the two parties here.
And it's kind of interesting, and I would say the animosity, and I don't really know how to read it, but you got different generations of Grovites. You got those Grovites who were here up through 2020, and then you got the newly arrived Grovites who came down 2021, 2022, 2023, when you didn't have to wear a mask, you could work from home, and you could twerk on a police car at Miami Beach. So we got two different cultures that are basically clashing here. How do I know this? Because if you go out, you see people wearing a New York Giants hat. You never see you always saw Jets hats.
The Meadowlands.
Yeah, but New York Giants. So these are people coming from Westchester, New York. Not well, maybe Westchester, Miami. But I'm just saying. So completely different vibe. And yeah, and I just wonder if maybe they're not loggerheads, maybe because of this. Listen, I went to the Coconut Grove Playhouse before it shut down. There was talk way back in the day they were going to shut it down. I wanted to go in there. It was musty. It smelled of mothballs. It was all right, but it was nothing great. I think the historical aspect is great. I love the facadism that they're talking about, but I can't really figure out what they could put in the Grove other than why don't they replace the farm store they got rid of to build a parking garage? They built a parking garage right over there across from what is it called? Grove Park? No, Park, 5 Park, 3 Park, 1 Park. You know what I'm talking about? Right by Coconut Grove.
The parking garage right here. Yeah. Hold on, let me pull it up for
you. Yeah. They took out a farm store in order to build that parking garage, which nobody uses. Why don't they go ahead and put a farm store back in there? I think that would be perfect, Daniel. That would be perfect to sort of take us back in in the day.
I think the era of
there you go.
There's a gone. The era of farm stores are gone. We got Uber Eats, man. Instacart.
They still got a farm store. There's one on Cayocho.
La Vaquita.
Just south of the Granada entrance into the Gables. What is that? 52nd or something? Yeah, there's still a farm store there, and you'll still find them.
I live right down the street from it. You can still get fresh Cuban bread there. They got all that stuff. Look, I'm a fan of it. I just don't think the new generation of Grovites, these New Yorkers, know what they're missing. I'm thinking ignorance is bliss when it comes to the whole vaquita. If you don't know what the vaquita is, you haven't really experienced Miami culture. And besides, people in the Grove don't want to drive anywhere. They don't want to walk. Vaquita's a drive-through.
Well, make it for bicycles. Make it for the jitneys. Why don't they make it a place for a roundup? Remember, for a long time you had the I was going to say roach coach, but food truck roundups. Make it like a park. Why don't they make this a park?
They have a food truck roundup over there on Grand and Douglas on the north side of the street next to the affordable housing joint that they built years back.
Why don't they call it the guys who sold off Wynwood? What was it? Wynwood Yard.
The smorgasbord.
Do a Wynwood Yard over there. Yeah, do a Wynwood Yard over there. Set it up so you can sell some booze, or maybe because people drink kava now.
No, you're going the wrong way, Pete. They already have $5-6 million houses in Coconut Grove. They don't want to go back to the food trucks. Wynwood has to attract people to want to live there in a place that nobody wants to frickin' live. Coconut Grove has already got it, so they got to make it prettier. No more parking lots. I mean, shit. They just got the permit to put the padel. It's actually it's kind of amazing. The tree arborists are out of their mind. They're having a tree-mageddon over there in the city of Miami. But I saw that on the news. They built this superstructure, which is a storm-ready paddle enclosure. It's basically, think of like a warehouse, but with no walls. But it has to be hurricane-proof. Because all these other paddle facilities that are the latest in the city's chapter of covered land plays, because they can put these things, they charge $30 per person, $120 an hour to play effectively tennis on these courts. But it's not impact glass. If they get hit with a hurricane warning, they got to disassemble all these things, just like they got to disassemble the T-cranes over there in Brickell. So if you have a storm-ready one, if and when a hurricane comes barreling down Brickell Avenue, you don't have to take it down. What the community's really peeved off about is that they cut down a bunch of trees to put the thing there.
Exactly. So let me throw out an idea though. So right over there, the street that would be on the western side of the Coconut Grove Playhouse. Can you see that street? Can you zoom in on it coming off of Main Highway?
Can I zoom in on it? Come on.
If you're going west on Main Highway, the street that's immediately on the western side of Coconut Grove Playhouse station, Playhouse
William
site.
Charles, William, Thomas.
Okay. So one of them for the longest time, and you guys might not realize this, but Miami had on the books where people who weren't white, they had to live a certain distance from the water. And this
That
and
was
what
the
happens,
law?
so you still have the segregation walls standing in certain parts of Coconut Grove from back in the day.
But
So
now it's a
this
chain link
street,
fence and you can't go into the parking lot.
yeah, so this street is, I think they call it the Church Street. This is the nickname because you got a whole series of churches. So people coming from the West Grove getting into Main
Yeah.
Highway, this is primarily their main road in. Otherwise, they had to come in off of Grand. So everybody was like forced, kind of like think of around Midtown and Edgewater over in Greater Downtown Miami. We only got a couple ways across.
Oh,
So
with the
this is
train
one of the
tracks?
streets. Yeah. So why don't they turn this into a Bahamian Little Bahamas? That's what that area is. And if you guys have not been to the Goombay Festival, I go every year. It's in June. Why don't they turn this into a Caribbean or Bahamian type of marketplace to pay homage to the people who were building a lot of Coconut Grove, Coral Gables, everywhere else? This would be, tell me this wouldn't be the perfect location. And it's right there off the Central Street, which is effectively the West Grove. Back in the day, and you will see this if you watch, even Dr. Paul George said, this used to be called the Black Grove, everybody. That's what the name was. Now they call it the West Grove. Why don't they do something historical? Let's represent, let's recognize what the Bahamians and what the people in
I
that
like
community
this. I like this a
ultimately
lot.
ultimately did for Coconut Grove, because the only people they're paying homage to right now is, Monroe. Fair enough. He did his thing, whether it be Ralph or it be Kirk. Why don't we pay some homage to the Bahamians who were here? They were swinging the hammers. They were doing the work. They were doing the clear cutting. This is the perfect place to do it, and it's connected to a historically significant street for that community, is what I would say.
Damn, Peter, I don't have a retort for that. I just say I agree. That is fantastic. You know,
And if it doesn't work, farm store if they don't go for it.
listen. Do we need more restaurants in the Grove? Not really. Do we need more parking in the Grove? Probably. Would I like to see a playhouse open? Sure. Will I really go? Probably not. I appreciate the national historic significance of this thing. What I don't appreciate is the city of Miami having 20 years to put this thing together, and now they're all up in arms and patting themselves on the back saying, oh, look, we're doing such a great job. It's the same thing with the Olympia Theater. Same thing with the Olympia Theater. It's the same thing with the Ludlam Trail that we're going to talk about in a second. It's the same thing with the condo legislation that a building had to fall down for them to do anything about. There's no proactivity for any of this. They all wait. The building, the playhouse was literally falling to the ground. So, Coconut Grove Playhouse problems? I don't think there's problems anymore. They voted unanimously to move the plan forward. I get that people are upset about it, but it's better than what the current state of the thing is.
Which has been the status quo for 20 years. Yeah. So, yeah, I'd have to be a buy on it too.
I'm buying. You buying. Opaga is a whole lot of letters. So, Opaga, that's a mouthful. Peter, when I mentioned it to you, you thought it was Florida Doge. Florida Doge is its own thing, but this is kind of close. This is the Office of Public Policy Analysis and Government Accountability. So it's a very small office because in Florida we don't have a whole lot of government accountability. But these folks are the ones that were responsible for putting out the 2024-2025 milestone inspection report. So it's a report about all of the condo reports. So after Surfside fell, the Surfside Tower collapsed in 2021, there was all this new condo legislation, the structural integrity reserve studies, the milestone inspection reports. All of these buildings were at least supposed to, and we'll get to this in a second, supposed to report up to the state about, what was going on. Hey, we need a new roof. Hey, we're going to do this balcony rehab. Hey, we have enough money to do any of it. And Pete, I'm going to give you some figures about the report, and I want to see your O face because I still have an O face. Okay, so this is over the course of 2 years, 2024 and 2025. Before we start, Peter, how many condominium buildings are there in the state of Florida?
There are just under 28,000 associations. Now, association can have multiple buildings, especially the older ones built in the 70s, 80s. And 1.6 million units throughout the state. Miami-Dade County is going to be close to South Florida, Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County, close to 13,000 associations, 760,000 units. So roughly half of all of Florida's condos, based on unit count, are going to be in Tri-County, South Florida.
Okay, so the way that they split up these reports, they're supposed to have phase one inspections, and then if warranted, they're supposed to have phase two inspection. Phase one inspection is, hey, architect, hey, engineer, come over here, put some eyeballs on my building, do whatever you're supposed to do per your training, per your skill set, and let me know if we need to move on to phase two. And phase two is more hands-on. Hey, we might have to make some destructive tests to see if the concrete or the rebar is rusted. And then after that, we assess and make special assessments because we have to make the necessary repairs. Well, Peter, within those 2 years, 2024 and 2025, there were 8,000.
Reports were required to be done before January 1st of 2025, everybody. Before. So January 1st, 2025, if you were not completed with your study, you were basically breaking the law.
8,736 completed phase one inspections in the whole state. 27,000 associations, you said?
28,000 associations statewide.
Okay. 1,575 completed phase two inspections, meaning roughly 1,500 of those 8,700 who didn't necessarily pass phase one, they had to get elevated to phase two. So 1,500 completed phase two inspections. And you might be saying, hey, Daniel, that number seems kind of low. Yeah, it is. Because the DDPR, the Department of Business Professional Regulations, the guys overlooking all of this, received reports only from 71% of jurisdictions in 2024 and only 64% of the jurisdictions in 2025. They're not reporting. There's no teeth to any of this legislation because I haven't seen, we transact in condominiums all the time down here. I haven't seen any liens. I haven't seen any fines. I don't see any enforcement, Peter.
Listen, my experience I'm just going off of experience here, but generally speaking, what tends to happen in Florida is they deputize everybody else to do the work. So in this situation, I think what they're doing is they're forcing it upon the insurance companies to figure out what's right, what's wrong. And when these insurance companies are doing their underwriting,
and they do the premiums.
Then they will either insure or not insure, and I'm sure there's going to be some kind of reporting. For instance, everybody, if you go to the bank and you make a deposit, I think it's over $10,000. It's going to take a little bit longer because the banker, the teller, if anybody actually goes into a bank, teller's got to type in some stuff, and therefore there's going to be a report, currency transaction report. It's going to be filed with the IRS or the feds. And when the feds need the information, they can go and tap into it. I think that's what's going on here. State of Florida is very hands-off. They're allowing the industry to sort it out, but information is being collected, and then lo and behold, if there's an issue, they can go and then tap into the records. As far as I can see, there's not even verification of the data that's being submitted. There's no auditing. There is no sign-off. There's nothing. Basically, whatever you think, you go ahead,
I
you
pull
file
condo financials all the time, and I don't see most of these reports aren't audited. There's no Ernst & Young or BDO. It's just self-reporting across the board.
Self-reporting. And what could go wrong with self-reporting? And what could go wrong if you don't even file it? This is one of the issues coming into 2025 and then into 2026. Some condo associations, based on what has happened previously, they said, we're not going to file it. Come to us and fine us, and then we'll actually do anything because we don't think you're going to stand firm, legislature, up in Tallahassee. So some of them just refuse to file any of the paperwork. Property managers have told me, a guy who owns a property management company of, 7,000 units or so under management than what they're overseeing. He says some of the old, the people running the association, they're just not going to do it. They're not going to do it until they get fined, and then they will suddenly step up and do something. They don't want to get off the couch. They don't want to spend the money because they don't think the state of Florida actually has the gumption to go forward. Now, this is where the insurance industry and this is where the private sector comes in, because if you can't get insurance, every unit in that building effectively could be in default of their mortgage because you're required to have insurance. And then if the bank goes and tries to buy insurance for you and they can't buy it, you're probably going to be in default of your mortgage. So a lot of repercussions, a lot of complications, but it doesn't surprise me that there's really no follow-up being done by the state of Florida because they don't tend to do it. They tend to come after the fact. They're like the coroner. They're not the one stopping the crime. They're the one who are going to tell you, okay, what went wrong, yada, yada, yada. But they're not there, breaking, on the spot, trying to break up some sort of situation. They process it after the fact. So this does not surprise me. And by the way, looking at a report from 2024, 2025, is it all of 2025 or is it simply going into
No, it's
2025?
2024 and 2025 data was compiled to make this report. And I
So
can make this available on the Substack once we release it.
Okay, but it's all complete. It's all of 2025.
Correct.
Okay, and by the way, there are a lot of people referencing Aventura. Aventura's got all these condos that are unsafe or whatever.
19 reported in Aventura.
Listen, it is speculation. Aventura does not have more proportionally than anybody else.
So you're saying they're self-reporting? They're actually just reporting.
I'm saying they're reporting. Where the other ones
they're actually doing the good thing of reporting. They're doing the work. Listen, you had the insurance gentleman on your show a few months ago. For the first time in modern history, insurance premiums have come down in a lot of these buildings because they're actually playing ball. They're actually being responsible, doing the work, filing their paperwork. In those buildings, for the first time ever, the tree, as you would put it, did not grow to the moon in terms of the policy premiums on these buildings. I mean, after Surfside, we saw some insurance policies double their premiums in these buildings. I'm talking like from $200,000 a year to $400,000 a year, and now it's come back down because if you tell the insurance company, hey, let us make your underwriting a little easier, we're going to show you our wares. And hey, look, we're redoing the pool deck too. It's going to be okay. The insurance companies, listen, I got my choice words about the insurance companies, but they've put their money where their mouth is. And the market has determined that building A in Aventura is good and building F over here is bad.
And that's a good thing, and that's what's necessary, and that's what's going to force people to do stuff. They absolutely do stuff. The problem is, though, trying to do stuff right now with what we're dealing with in terms of affordability can be a little bit challenging. I mean, I think the big issue is, okay, so fine. Let's take these reports and let's say these projects in Aventura are in trouble, whatever, which I don't think they got more than anybody else. I'd like to see Western Miami-Dade County. I'd like to see Western Broward County. I'd like to see parts of Hallandale, Hollywood, North Miami. I know they're going to have a lot, but I think, Daniel, the real point we ought to be focused on, or people should focus on as you go forward, it's not what the report says, it's which associations actually can come up with the money to fix it. Now you've identified the problem, in theory, are you going to be able to afford to fix it? And I think that's really what the condo cliff is. I think that's where we run into a situation where now that it's been identified, so it's kind of like somebody who maybe signed up for the DACA program under President Obama. You signed up for DACA, you're a dreamer, your parents came over, whatever, you were educated here, all this stuff. You sign up, and then lo and behold, there's a political shift or there's a policy shift, and now all of a sudden they're telling you, we're gonna put you. Well, they can't put them in alligator outcrops anymore because it's shut down. But this is what I'm saying. I think this is the problem that we're going to see is everybody's now going to understand what's going on with these associations, and the unit owners are not going to be able to come up with the cash. I think that's the real, that's the sleeper I think people should pay attention to. Maybe some of the associations simply don't want to do the study. It's kind of like somebody hawking product. Well, listen, I don't know. I didn't ask.
You're crashing the market in your building. If you cannot finance, and we didn't even talk about the Fannie and Freddie 15% reserve thing that's going into, it's starting in 2 weeks now? Limited review out the door. Limited review. When's the 15% kick in?
August, January.
Okay, so that kicks in January. I know we got to move on to the next topic because I want to get you guys to happy hour. But here's some happy hour tidbit icebreakers for you because I know you guys like to talk about numbers and big ones. Phase 2 findings generated 903 reported repair permit applications. And remember, when you file for a permit, you have to put the estimate of the work. But it's just an estimate because once you give that to a contractor, it's probably going to be double or probably triple that. So the reported average permit value increased because, remember, we're going through an inflationary period here, not just in South Florida, but throughout the country. So in 2024, the average permit value was about $337,000. In 2025, it went up to about $500,000. So that's the average. Some permits were 25 grand. Some permits were well over $1 million. Some permits, Peter, were 30 million bucks. I don't know what building specifically what that is, but I'll find out and I'll tell the gang next week. 86
I know
permits.
Some in South Beach. I know some in South Beach, south of Fifth.
Yeah. Who was that south of Fifth, right next to Continuum? Who was it?
Yeah. Right
next to the Apogee,
right
next to the Continuum.
Yep.
Who's in the middle there?
Yeah. Murano.
Portofino at Murano. Yeah, they assess these guys like six figures a pop per unit. But I mean, those are multi-bazillion dollar units. In any case, I just wanted to give you guys these numbers. Peter, Opaga is a whole lot of letters.
I'm a pound the table. It's a whole lot of letters and a whole lot of a lot. And how do I say? And no information. Yeah. It's a lot of letters. You guys got to
the report was kind of a nothing burger. Not a nothing burger. Okay, I appreciate that people worked really hard to put this thing together, but it's not something we already knew. Peter and I pour over these documents on a daily basis. They're not audited. Simply put, hard stop. Why do you even bother? The association can't spend $5 grand to BDO to get their financial statements audited by some intern.
Can I make a suggestion? Can I make a request to the state of Florida, whichever governmental body would oversee, whether it's the Department of Business and Professional Regulations, whether it's the Division of Condominiums, Mobile Homes, and Timeshares? Why don't you guys take the cash that you're using to do this report? Why don't you pump it into the database so the database is actually informative so people can do their own research and they don't have to rely on somebody to release a report, a long time afterwards. I'm all for making the information available and less so on having somebody study it and review it on their own. We can all make our own decisions. Just give us access to the information. In order to give us access to the information, you need to improve your distribution of the information because the way you're doing it right now is piss poor at best.
It's pretty bad.
Horrible.
You're a buy. I'm a buy. We're going out to west. We're going out west Miami. Troubling times for the Ludlam Trail. Peter and I had a little geography lesson before the show. We couldn't really figure out which one of the ancient train tracks the Ludlam Trail was supposed to fall on. It seems like it's Florida East Coast, but Peter can give us a little bit of a history lesson of why it might not be Florida East Coast. It probably is Florida East Coast, but what is this? What is this trail? We got underdecks and underlines and over highways and trails that don't
undercarriages.
Undercarriages. I'm wearing for another day. That's for our extra spicy content, Peter. Come on, that's $39.99 a week. But the Ludlam Trail, folks, the Ludlam Trail is supposed to run from approximately Dadeland all the way up to what is that? Basically the airport, the Dolphin. Right? It's this big, long path here, and it used to be a rail line. Whoever ran it, not really terribly important, but Peter's going to be looking it up for us. And the city, the county, has spent $42 million, and it's supposed to be really nice per our very trustworthy administrators. But Pete, I haven't even seen a rendering, and we do renderings really, really well down here. If you had a rendering, wouldn't you want to show it to the public? Wouldn't you want to show us some pretty pictures? Shit, we got renderings for the underdeck, the $60 million park over there under the signature bridge to nowhere. They're not even building that. So here's something they're actually supposed to be building, and I don't even have a drawing. A pretty one, an ugly one, nothing. Where's the money? What'd you guys spend it on? Come on, tell me. What'd you spend the money on? It's supposed to cost 80. They already spent 42. Where is the money?
So I don't study this close enough, but so the Miami-Dade County has control, correct, of this pathway, which is a former rail line, correct?
Well, no, it was land. Yeah, they acquired part of the funds was they acquired land for this.
Okay. So how do I kind of put this? And this is the confusing part for me. And any historians out there, whether it's
Casey,
Dr. Paul George, Casey Paquette, help us figure this out. So this is I want to give everybody kind of context. So you get Henry Flagler. Julia Tuttle throws in some dirt. So does Old Man Brickle and Mary Brickle. They throw in some dirt. They get Henry Flagler down here. Henry Flagler is rocking and rolling. He sets up his Royal Palm Hotel, which is now standing in and around where the Aston Martin is, as well as the Met One, as well as what is that, One Miami?
We call that the armpit of downtown because it curves.
Yeah, the armpit of downtown. So that's where the Royal Palms is. Eventually, he
Smells.
gets it. He can do what he wants. The Old Man Flagler. He was a partner with Rockefeller. He's the guy who ran the logistics for Standard Oil. He decides to go down to Key West. So when he goes down to Key West, he basically carves out what will become US 1. Whistle stop along the way, everybody. US 1 and 27th Avenue. That was a whistle stop. Shell Lumber.
Oh, Shell Lumber.
That stuff. It goes when the train would come down, they would, you could throw stuff on, throw stuff off. The big stop was at 37th Douglas Road. It goes all the way down to Key West. Now you get a competitor. Think Pepsi, Coke. Think I don't know, Pall Mall, Cool. Think Shell, Amoco. I'm pulling stuff. Think McDonald's, Burger King. Think Chipotle. What's the cellar place? Green, Sweet Green.
Sweet Green.
So yeah. So what you got going on is you get a competitor. While Flagler is moving the bougie crowd, the wealthy crowd, you get this competitor. It's called Seaboard. Seaboard Airline Rail is what they called it. So Seaboard comes out on the west part of the county. They come in and around Miami International Airport. And for my MIA to ultimately come together, they actually have to change their tracks. So if you guys are ever driving on Perimeter Road around Miami International Airport, where the tracks are, that was Seaboard. So you had Seaboard on the west coast. They were or in the western part of the county. They were serving agriculture. They were serving working class stiffs who couldn't afford to ride Old Man Flagler's tracks, which was coastal. So this particular area that we're talking about for Ludlam, everybody's saying it's FEC. I don't know. I want a historian to confirm that, because to me, it seems like it's the Seaboard line, which went all the way down to Homestead, because this was an agricultural company out of Virginia. Ultimately, it would become CSX, but they're all claiming it's Florida East Coast. So just to begin with, on that. And by the way, if anybody's interested, Seaboard, where they had their rail terminal, it was all in effectively Alapata. You know that area, everybody? Alapata, right off of Northwest 7th or so. That area where you got Alapata, Wynwood was kind of right in around there. And then you had Flagler,
they spelled Coconut Grove with an A.
They spelled, okay. And then you had Flagler with Midtown, where Midtown Miami was, everybody. So these things were kind of parallel, but Flagler hugged the coast, and Seaboard, which would become CSX, they were more western. So this is the part that sort of confuses me.
This is confusing because, listen, on this map it says Miami's stop is the Hotel Royal Palm, which is on the east side.
Oh, but that's Seaboard.
No, this is the Florida East Coast Railway map.
Yeah. Florida East Coast, correct. Yeah, because they were effectively the predecessor to what would become Biscayne Boulevard or US 1. But Seaboard, they bought the cheaper dirt. They were to the west. Think TGK, everybody. Turner, Guilford, Knight. There's a train tracker over there. That's the old Seaboard line. Which is now CSX. So you guys could see how they were running opposite. They were running parallel, but they were completely different crowds. So Coral Gables had a train station, everybody. That train station's on Coral Way and 72nd, which is right where the Ludlam Trail is. This is why I'm so confused. But we're here to talk about the Ludlam Trail. Basically, it's old train tracks. They're not going to use anymore. They want to turn it into pedestrian. Everybody's after chasing parks, just like you got right underneath the Metro Rail.
Well, they did. The big one that they did in Atlanta, which I lived in Atlanta for a little bit, but they call it the Beltway or the Beltline. And it goes all in and around Atlanta because Atlanta has the big terminus from the rest of the southeastern United States. So there's all these defunct rail lines. And this is supposed to be like a little mini version of that. I think it's only like 5 or 6 miles. But it was promised like 10 years ago.
Yep. Well, like the Underline. The Underline took forever. Almost as long as Flagler Street renovation of 5 blocks.
But they did it. What is going on here? And I think the frog has been boiling in the pot for long enough, and people are pissed. People are pissed. I don't know what they're spending the money on. I think we're going to be talking about this in months to come. I haven't seen any activity regarding this whatsoever. The mayor's office was asked about it. and the county response, permitting, environmental issues, and community development, all of those things add to time, but also the cost. It's a very complicated project. The property was owned by a railroad company.
Yes.
Okay, but you guys had money to buy it and design it and pay consultants. They paid AECOM a ton of money to come up with all the plans and the infrastructure plans. AECOM is a big infrastructure development guy. If you go over to the airport, they're constantly working on. That's all AECOM. So I plead, if anybody's watching, I know James Torres was watching Instagram a little earlier. Folks, what's happening over at the Ludlum Trail? Tell us, because all we can do is tell you folks about it and educate and get you to ask the right questions. Because, by the way, once this is all finished, it will raise property values in and around this area. So if you don't care about parks, that's fine. If you care about your property values, which you should, this is important. And by the way, look at the southern tip of this. This goes straight down to the underline. So imagine a world where you could live by AD Barnes Park over there on Bird Road and, well, the Ludlum Trail, and then you can get on a bicycle and safely get to Brickell. Cool.
That's awesome.
That would be sweet. Now, guys, just freaking build it.
So Daniel, if that's the case, if they actually the cross, maybe it was Florida East Coast line. I don't know. This is very confusing. Any historians, we need that. But the question is, why does everybody want to use the space underneath tracks or on top of track space? And I asked AI to look it up. So here's the ratio of park space acres per resident based on 1,000 residents. The national average is 10 acres for every 1,000 residents. Florida averages 10 acres per 1,000 residents. Miami-Dade County, 2.8 acres per.
That's
1,000
disgusting.
Residents. City of Miami, 3.6 acres. So I remember back in the New York Times 20 years ago, they did a story about Miami, what Miami was claiming as park space. City of Miami, they were claiming the pool decks on the 8th floor of these condo buildings as park space. Boo. So we have a lack of park space, and as a result of that, that's probably what's really kind of driving this. They need to find park space somewhere, somehow, and because of New York and the idea is there, we then implemented it here with the underline, and now it's taken up. Exactly. So it's really a density issue. It's a park space to residents, and I'm sure it factors in for quality of life as well as federal regulations and things like that. So keep that in mind, everybody. National average, Florida average, 10 acres per 1,000 residents. Miami-Dade County, 2.8 acres, and City of Miami, 3.6 acres. And this is based on AI, Gemini, and it's pulling a report from Miami-Dade County.
Using Gemini?
Yep.
We can talk about that after the show. Buy, sell, hold. Troubling times for the Ludlum Trail.
I would be a hold. Just because I know they're going to push forward to it. It's all about timing. So I'm going to be a hold. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt because I know they need more park space. And by the way, if you get more park space, your values go up, which means that 2% property tax, which goes to the county, the city, the school board, is only going to increase. So it behooves everybody to kind of make it happen. It's just it takes forever.
I got to agree with my man, Peter. We're just going to sit back and hold, but I don't want to wait very much longer. It has been a decade, and it's not even like the underline. You don't. It's a straight line. The US one's all curvy and crap. You guys were able to figure it out. Just figure it out. So, all right, everybody. That's our show. We will see you next Friday as we do every Friday. Maybe we got a guest. Maybe we don't. Maybe you're just stuck with our two ugly mugs. But if there's anything you do want us to talk about, you got us on Instagram, you got us on Substack, you got us on TikTok now. Shoot us an email. Call us. Our numbers are everywhere because we work in real estate. But thanks again for coming. We'll see you all next week. And Peter, love you, pal. Boop.
Right back, eh?